You want to?
Right
Oh,
now.
I don't think we're gonna be taped.
Okay.
We are not. Okay.
All
All
right.
right. All right. So it's 6:50. I called to order meeting of Monday, November 20, Board of Health, Littleton Board of Health meeting. And we are going to talk about, again,
Just the 22.
22 Pleasant Street, that was requesting a local approval for setback from, reduction from the system setback from vegetated wetlands, and the sieve analysis performed since a perk could not. All right, so I was going to open up things, but we're sort of moving quickly. Did you have Jim's notes? I read them
Yes.
briefly when he first sent them. All right, so this was reviewed at last week's meeting, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so Gino, you were here, Lisa, you were
Yep.
here,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
All right, and then Aaron was, and that was it, yeah?
Yep.
You were out as well, right?
You guys.
Okay.
Indiana.
So, I'll read Jim's notes, just so we're all up to speed on that. Sewage disposal system for this site has failed Title V inspection. Soil testing was conducted. Applicant has submitted a design for the proposed replacement system. The site has a number of restraints, making it very difficult to design a system in compliance with Title V and your regulations: wetlands, high seasonal ground table, small lot size. The proposed design requires local upgrade approval from Title V, sieve analysis and offset to wetlands, and a variance to your regulations, offset of fill to within 10-foot lot line. The proposed system is best feasible option for the replacement of the existing leaching area. I don't have a problem with the request. So, before we do anything else, let me first ask you guys, since you were here, and the engineer was here, I assume.
Yep.
Right. Can I
What
say-
was, yeah,
Okay. As a chairman, when you were not here, I let them know that it was okay, they signed the permit, and they both say, we wanted to have something from Jim. I say it was okay to do it, why make him come back again? Because when the house is an old house, and they put a new septic system on the whole septic, sometimes you have to give a variance, even though that doesn't make any sense, because in the wetland, the regulation is 100 feet, okay? There was a 50 feet, but the question is that the septic system need an extra 26 feet. So this was the variance that was asked. And I said, that is possible to let her go through. And they didn't understand because they wanted
Well-
to make sure, and that's it. So that's why we're here tonight.
So they had asked for something from Conservation, that Conservation was okay with the plan as designed. So those are comments from Amy, the Conservation
Yeah.
agent.
Well, we were asking for Jim's notes, which we didn't have either.
But,
And for me, it sounded like they were asking for two things, a setback and a variance, which I wasn't comfortable giving because
That's okay.
we didn't have Jim's information.
That's
And
o-
going from 100 feet down to 20-something feet,
That's
that's
okay.
not just cutting it in half.
Well,
that-
that's
Oh.
local upgrade approval, that's not a variance, so
That's a local.
you need to,
that's the thing. What Aaron sent earlier, and her and I had a couple emails.
Well, that was
We're-
Aaron.
Yeah, I know. I'm
So-
just saying, if it's a local upgrade approval, and we've done this previously.
Right.
That's the question I had. In discussions with the engineer, and whether we have Jim's notes or not, we don't have to follow Jim's recommendation. Okay, Jim's notes can be helpful,
Jim's notes are very helpful
but.
to me.
Well, no, so I
So-
said, they can be helpful, but we don't have to follow his recommendation. And we have previously, based on discussions with the engineers, based on the experience that we've all got throughout this, that we can make decisions without them. I mean, I agree, Jim sent them out and sent them late and initially didn't attach them.
there was no
late.
attachment, and I wasn't in
And no one
Tuesday,
caught
so I
that
didn't see there
till
was
the
no
end.
attachment until Wednesday, so
So-
that's what happened with that.
So it's just, I think we have to understand what we're looking at and being asked to approve. And, if we're talking about significant design changes on a system, I get that, but if we're talking about our local upgrade approvals, I look at it this way, right? The federal government, or the state government, says we need this, but we're gonna be more conservative and say, no, we want this. Well, we still got all this room, right? So it's a local upgrade approval, which we're more than allowed to do. It's not we're not asking for a variance on Title V, which makes it, which is a different beast, I think.
Totally different.
But my question to that, and I wasn't here,
Yeah.
but now that we're talking about it, this is great. If we make a local or is it variance on this or whatever, is it, yeah,
Local
right, so
upgrade.
if we make the local
Local.
upgrade approval, will we be setting a precedent?
Right?
No.
No.
So what
Every
local, up-
situation's different.
Yeah.
so local
Okay,
upgrade
so those
approval
have fluidity to it.
allows, so in a situation where you can't do a fully compliant Title V system, local upgrade approval allows you, for an upgrade only, not new construction, to vary from Title V, and that's that criteria, A through I. And you have to try to be, you want to go in order and have the most feasible, closest to Title V system. So you go down the criteria, and if you can design the system using A, that's what you should use, but you keep going down. Now, in this instance, where there's wetlands, that's E, and so there's no other, if you look at the lot, you look at the site, and you say, there's no other place this system can go, okay? The system clearly can't go in the
Right.
front yard, so the only
sides,
place it
yep.
can go is in the back. So they have to have this local upgrade approval from the distance to wetlands, because there's no place else to go. Now, because of that, then they have to go through conservation, and that's where conservation gets involved with requiring hay bales and silt fence and protecting their wetlands. That's their jurisdiction, that's what they do.
And they're
all-
looking to go from here to move to here?
Nope. So this is gonna be the proposed system, and then these are all just the
Grades.
grading.
Yep,
okay?
grading down towards
So the
the
edge of
wetland.
the system's here, and so at its closest point, the edge of the system would be 24 feet from the wetlands, which is close, but again, there's no place else it can go. It's an upgrade, so it has to be allowed. You can't deny somebody an upgrade, and a person has to be allowed to upgrade their system. So if they were trying to increase the flow to a 4-bedroom, then you would say, no, you
Yes.
can't do
Right.
it.
That's
That's what I was gonna
that's
comment
the
on. They're
difference.
trying
But
to
because it's an
the house.
upgrade, it's allowed. So if
Okay,
you were to
okay,
deny
that's-
this,
Got it.
they would go to DEP, and DEP would overrule you. So local upgrade approval is, you take that, you're not fully compliant, and the engineer goes down the list and says, okay, what's the best feasible alternative to full compliance? And you have to go in that order. That's what Title V requires. So those aren't variances, those are just approvals. The variance is from the local regs, and that's a very standard one that applies to pretty much every upgrade on a small lot, and that's the fill to lot line. Anything within 10 feet of a lot line, abutters had to be notified, he provided the cards, and then that, it's just, again, because there's no other place for it to go, and the breakout fill that's required is within that 10 feet.
And if the
Title-
abutters have no objections, then
Right, and nobody
That's all
showed
it is
up.
then,
So
okay.
Title V allows you to go down to 5 feet, fill within to a property line of 5 feet. So anything less than 5 feet, that'd be a Title V variance. That'd
Okay.
be a butter notification, that'd be, you'd really look at, is there any other way you can do this? Because that's close. But this is 7 feet, which is, not great, but again, it's the only place it can go to get that system in there.
So
We
part
might
of the questions and discussions with the engineer would be, is that the only system that can go in there? Is there
Right.
newer
Yep,
systems that can go in there that make this better? And those, frankly, right, when it comes down to this, most of us, we're not looking at a engineering plan of a septic system and getting down into the nuts and bolts of it, right? But through these discussions, we go, well, all right, that looks awfully tight, we certainly can do it, but is that the best system you can design? Can you look at doing, I haven't looked at the details of this, a
haven't.
Presby or something else, or do do you raise the system? Now, again, raising the system, you know, in situations is sometimes the only thing you could do, but sometimes those aren't, you know, those aren't great, right? You don't want to necessarily live, but that's a local upgrade approval that you may need to deal with. Again, you can't allow that. And I think for this, it's relatively straightforward. I also think, by the way, and I didn't look at it in detail, but look at that slide deck that Aaron sent. I think it's actually very educational on how to handle
was,
this
yeah.
on these case by case. So,
Mr. Chairman, there is also many, many houses in Littleton that are in the same situation.
Yeah.
Some have no septic system, okay? So they wanted to have a septic system, and the land is very tight. So,
Now, where I will say Jim's comments do come in handy in cases like this, is that if Jim feels an alternate system is a better option, he'll say, you know, oh, this works, it's compliant under local upgrade approval, but a Presby would be a better option, or this might be a better option. So that's where Jim's notes, but again, it's you guys' discretion, you know, in approving these.
yeah, I mean, it's always nice to have perfect, or best to have
Right,
Jim's
but,
notes.
you know, the numbers just seem to be so, from 150 was allowed.
Again,
but
what
then it
you
was-
have to remember
But
is
I don't know.
you don't have jurisdiction over wetlands. That's conservation.
If they've,
You have-
now, not having had or included notes from conservation would have been probably very helpful in the discussion.
But that's what.
But Rob
Jim-
clearly
Jim-
said during the meeting, he had been to conservation,
Right.
conservation was okay,
Right.
they
Okay.
were holding the
But do we
hearing
sometimes
open.
take the word? I mean,
Oh,
I don't know,
an
Rob, though, for
engineer's
sure.
not gonna,
Engineer? Okay,
an
cool.
engineer's not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
I agree.
You know,
Yeah.
If he does, the next time he comes, he's not gonna get
Yeah.
nothing.
So,
Never. I
Um,
get that.
so, because time is of the essence, and we can,
Make a decision.
so I, see if someone is, if we've answered the questions and that we need answered, if someone wants to make a motion and we can make a decision on this and move forward. And then we can discuss offline how we can address this in the future to make sure that streams
Well,
don't get crossed,
Yeah,
right?
and I just think that every case is gonna be different, you
Right.
know, with every border,
Oh,
with
yeah.
every system,
Yep.
with every wetland, which I know
Well,
it's
there's
not
gonna be a
our,
lot of
but where
houses
it's,
like
where
that.
it's gonna be. You know, I think I needed more discussion rather than, Shelley says it's fine, just sign it. You know, I don't want to have, I don't, you know, I'm sure
I've been
Shelley,
here for
I'm sure
15 years,
Shelley told Gino and Gino told me, but I don't wanna
No,
just
I
put my name
understand.
on anything.
But see-
Sometimes us newbies need to be
Yeah,
schooled a
but-
little bit more.
Yeah.
In sometime.
We need a little more discussion.
Just to let you know, Mr. Chairman, sometime in emergency, because somebody don't like to have, say yes, as a chairman or vice chairman, that when you can make the decision for the board, just to let you know.
And what
okay?
I try to do, if I'm not gonna be at the meeting, is talk to whoever's, if John's here, I'll talk to John and just let him be aware of anything that's a little bit controversial or something. So I try to, you know, I always talk to Jim Tuesday of the meeting and then try to touch base with John or Gino and just let them know, you know, what's coming up.
So I'll make a motion to accept,
I've already read them, if you just
Okay.
want to say
Yeah.
as read.
You can
as
just
read.
say, yeah,
as read.
okay.
And
A second.
Second, so we have a motion and a second to approve the local upgrade approvals and the variance as read. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay,
All right, so those are just two transfers, and then this is 22 Pleasant. Gino signed it last week, so he's all set.
Come on.
I think when you go through that slideshow, and if you do it with this page of Title V, the local upgrade approval, the steps, it kind of makes more sense to, in going in the order of what you can approve. Okay, and then,
What is this?
Honey, you got one of those for
Transfer
me?
from what?
take that.
Huh?
You can
which
keep
one
that.
is that? So that's a transfer of the permit, I think, is that
Yeah,
right?
that's just it, from the original owner to the new owner for the lot. It's just a transfer permit. And John, these are just two accounts payable bills. One's for a file cabinet, one's for some office supplies.
This is the same thing?
Yep,
Transfers, okay.
yeah, if
1,500
it's
gallon.
Edward Drive, yeah.
Today's the 20th.
The 20.
And then the last thing is, the Leominster Tobacco Alliance, who's our tobacco agent, she sent this out, and they're just in the process of doing a new contract with the state, and so, they just need the okay from their participating towns that they want to continue to be covered by Leominster. She's our tobacco agent. She goes out to everybody who has a tobacco license and gives them all the literature, goes over the laws, goes over where they can stock and what they can sell, and she reviews our tobacco regs with them. They issue fines if they're caught selling tobacco to minors and all that, so, and it doesn't cost the town anything.
Thought it was our plumbing. And we've already, I mean, this happened a few years ago, right? Where the review of the tobacco regs.
Yep, we had those new tobacco regs that went into effect. So Joan Hamlet, she's our agent, and so this is just that they're going for a new contract with the state, so they just have to have this signatures of any towns that want to participate.
So they make sure that whoever has a license is in compliance?
Right.
Right.
Yep.
They're not the ones that are, okay, they're not the ones that are selling, they're not the individuals that are out
No.
there tobaccoing, okay.
I send her a list of everybody who has tobacco permits, and she goes out and visits each one of
Gotcha,
them a
okay.
couple times a year. She gives them our current tobacco regs, she goes over them, she goes over where their displays can be, because we have some rules with what can be in front of the counter and what's behind the counter.
I worked in, before my current job, a convenience store chain
Yeah.
with global, mobile gas stations.
Yep.
So I
She
had to
makes
build
sure
the stores, I know
permit's
exactly
posted, she
every
makes sure
town
the
I was in, I
permit's
had to be there,
current,
yep.
So,
The under
yeah.
18 signs in the certain
I think
locations.
it's under
all that.
20 now, isn't
Yeah,
it?
gives them the new posters
20?
and all that, so
Did Mass go to 20? I didn't know
Did
that.
it go to 20?
I don't think it has yet.
Not yet, no.
It's in the works.
They're
but
trying,
it
they're
hasn't
trying.
yet.
They haven't got it.
All right, so it's
CVS
just a
stopped
standard
selling
thing.
them,
Do we
which
typically
is
would vote on this?
You can vote on it.
But
If-
there's a-
Yeah, I mean, it's probably good to put in the record that you
Okay.
got,
Yeah.
if you're
Make a
in
motion
support
to
of it.
accept this. What does it say? Participating municipality agreement, so I don't have to read the whole thing?
All right,
So it's as written?
yeah.
Right.
You're saying? Yeah.
You want to review it?
I'll second it.
Okay. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Nope, all right. There we go. Is that it?
That's it. So there's nothing for next week, so there'll be no meeting next week, so the next meeting will be the 12th.
And that'll be the only meeting in December then,
Yeah,
right?
because the next one's the day after Christmas,
Good,
so I
good.
won't schedule anything for that.
Please?
Thank you. And then back to January
And then
2nd
back to
and 4th.
January, it'd be the 2nd and 4th. I'll send that list out in a week or so, and everybody can, because I know school
next
vacations
meeting is the
sometimes.
The 12. It's okay, then, if you can make it.
Well, I'll let you all know now, I won't be able to. My wife's
Yeah.
out of town and
Yeah.
I just got the girl.
Yeah.
So.
Make a motion to adjourn?
She can come, but she's gonna freak out in that back seat. Unless she has her dolls, and then it's okay, maybe.
We freak out in these front seats.
Yeah.
All right,
Motion to adjourn?
we have a
Second.
motion adjourned, we have a seconded. All in favor of
Aye.
adjourning?
Aye.
I don't know of anybody that's ever said.